Blog Talk Radio.
Hi, thanks for joining the show. I was going to play out that whole song by Metallica, Don't Tread on Me, but yeah, I'll save it for the end. So I'm using VoIP right now. If there's any audio quality issues, it's because of the internet connection. I'm hoping that doesn't happen. It's possible that it could drop. If it does, well, I don't know what'll happen because I don't know if I can call back in and restart the show. If that happens, I'll end it early and maybe record something on YouTube. But the reason I decided to do this Blog Talk Radio show tonight, January 21st of 2025, is because, number one, I used to do a Blog Talk Radio show about, God, I want to say 2008. It was under Blog Talk Radio /Autumn Lee 88. If you want to get a quick glimpse at it, I did one for quite a while, right around the election of 2008. So I doubt anyone remembers me. If you do, that's pretty awesome. But I deleted pretty much everything that linked me to Autumn Lee 88 back then. But anyway, going forward, another reason I wanted to do it wasn't just because of nostalgia, because there's some fascism going on in the state of Arizona. And there has been some fascism going on in the state of Arizona since about 2020, post-COVID. And it's starting to come to light a lot of reasons why all of this shit has been going on in my home state. And yeah, I wasn't born here, but I've lived here for over half of my life. This is my state. And I am being constantly victimized by fascism. And it's not just me. And I'm going to go into a little more detail about what I mean with my own personal experiences. It's possible that I have one caller, but unlikely, just because of some of the stories that I have, which is fine. I have permission to go ahead and talk about these experiences from a couple of people that I've met with regard to how fascism has impacted their lives in the state of Arizona, most specifically the city of Phoenix, which is located within Maricopa County, Arizona. So before we go any further, the show's about a half hour long, about 4 minutes in. I'm going to define fascism for everybody who happens to be listening and is confused about what fascism actually means. I'm taking this, let's take it from Britannica. Fascism. Fascism is a political ideology and mass movement that dominated many parts of Central, Southern, and Eastern Europe between 1919 and 1945 that also had adherents in Western Europe, the United States, South Africa, Japan, Latin America, and the Middle East. Blah, blah, blah. Yeah, that's the history of fascism. Let's talk about the definition of fascism. This is from Merriam-Webster. Fascism is a noun. A populist, political, philosophy, movement, or regime, such as that of the fascists, fascisti, fuck ever, that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with a centralized, autocratic government, dictatorial leader, and that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of opposition. So now that I've actually defined fascism as Merriam-Webster defines it, and if you'd like to look it up and check my work, whatever, it's spelled F as in Frank, A as in Apple, S as in Sam, C as in Charlie, I as in Indigo, S as in Sam, M as in Michael. Fascism at Merriam-Webster.com. Basically, it's everything that's been going on in this entire fucking country since 2020 and the incept of, well, I don't know when DEI was actually started, but since the COVID-19 pandemic is when everything really came to a big pussy fucking head in this country. And it's starting to become more clear why. But I don't want to talk about that right now. We're going to get into that later. Tonight I'm talking about fascism in Arizona. First and foremost, The people who have been impacted the most by fascism here, starting in about 2020, was the middle class. When the economy started to get out of control after COVID-19, everybody was put on, stay-at-home orders. You weren't allowed to go outside. You had to wear masks, blah, blah, blah. You had to get vaccines. That's when it really started. That's when the exploitation really started, especially here in Arizona. Arizona, for the first time I don't even know, it might have been the first time in history. I'd have to check on that. For the first time in the entire time that I've been alive, Arizona went blue for Biden. I was happy because weed was legalized. That's why I was happy. I didn't even give a shit at that point. I was like, fuck yeah, weed is legalized in Arizona. I can finally smoke weed legally. That made me happy because back in 2008, I got arrested for a felony because weed was a felony back then. I had to go through task and shit because I was arrested for having an ounce of weed. And now I can have an ounce of weed and it's legal. It's pretty fucking awesome. So I was happy in 2020 that weed was legalized. But there's a reason that all that happened. Arizona has always been a Nazi state. Always. This place is a pit of dust and Nazis. It just depends what side of the political spectrum happens to be winning at the time. For generations, it was the Republicans here. So it was, fascism towards people who don't fit whatever Republicans deem to be normal people. That's called fascism. Again, I'm going to define it. Fascism is a populist political philosophy, movement, or regime that exalts nation and often race above the individual, that is associated with a centralized autocratic government headed by a dictatorial leader, and that is characterized by severe economic and social regimentation and by forcible suppression of opposition. In layman's terms, 2020 in Phoenix, Arizona, COVID-19, Biden gets elected, steals the election, whatever the fuck happens, right? Arizona decides to become Nazis for the left. So if you've lived in Arizona for any amount of time, 10, 20 years, you know what that means. That's why they legalized weed here. They wanted to get everybody hooked on it so that they could ship you out. They're getting rid of the middle class. And you know what? Honestly, I'm grateful that they fucking legalized weed here, because if they wouldn't have, it would have been murder to get through this entire last 4 years because of everything that I've had to deal with. So thank you for legalizing weed. Although I have been dried up from weed since January 1st. Yeah, I haven't smoked any weed since January 1st. But it is available to me if I want to get it. And I won't get fucking arrested this time and treated like shit by Arizonans. That's the funniest thing, too. They will treat you like shit here for whatever reason they can. It does not matter. Arizona is literally the trash can of the nation. It literally is right now. It used to be a place that you could feel safe on the streets, even though the government was fairly fascist. It wasn't as bad as it used to be. You could feel safe walking the streets at 9 o'clock at night. You could feel safe talking to your neighbors, leaving your door unlocked. You could feel safe in just about any area. There has never been a ghetto in Phoenix until 2021. You know why there was a ghetto in Phoenix in 2021? Because of the eviction moratorium. Why was there an eviction moratorium? Because rent increases were going up. Why were rent increases why was rent going up? Because of fucking COVID. Is it all starting to make sense to stupid people now? Eviction moratorium in 2020, Arizona. And I mean, I've been talking about this shit since 2021, and people just want to silence me and tell me that I'm making it about myself. It's something that I'm going to get into in a few minutes. Making it about myself. Yeah, fuck you. Anyway, the eviction moratorium, let's see, started December 1st of 2020. Governor Ducey, I like to call him Governor Douchey, decided to extend it. Oh, how nice. Basically what that was is a federal ban on evictions, so that if you're falling behind in rent due to the COVID-19 pandemic, landlords were not allowed to evict you. Now, if you're smart, you kept going on your rent payments, which I did. But the way they get you that way is DEI. If you're white, I'm not actually white. I know that might be a shocker if you've seen my pictures, but I'm not. I have some white ancestry, if you want to call it white. I mean, there's so many different types of white people. I'm going to tell you what nationalities I am as a perceived white woman in Arizona. I am Cherokee, Blackfoot, Mexican, Irish, British, and French. Is that white? No, that's mixed. But again, we're talking about the eviction moratorium here. So I'm paying my rent, right? You know, working my ass off, having to work some extra hours all the time, constantly, because of all the economic shifting that's like, you know, completely imploding the middle class here in Phoenix. And that's cool. You know, I'm a workhorse. I love to work. I, at the time, had about 5 different business lines of my own, 2-bedroom apartment in a decent, halfway decent, not completely ghetto area of Phoenix for $1,100 a month in 2021. But because I'm perceived to be white, guess who lost their business lines and couldn't find a job? So I started driving for Uber. And when I started driving for Uber, that's when I realized that it wasn't just about me. No. The entire city of Phoenix was suffering through the same fascism that I was. And it wasn't just white people either. I saw white people, I saw black people, I saw Mexicans, I saw everybody all over the streets like I'd never seen before in my life. And let me remind you, I moved here as a 12-year-old little girl, went to junior high school here, went to high school here, left for a little while to the south, came back, and then left for Vegas for a little while, and then came back. So, I mean, I've been here for like over half my life, and I'm not a spring chicken. You know what I'm saying? I might look like one, but I'm not. In 2021, if they couldn't get you with the eviction moratorium and kicking you out because you didn't pay your rent and you couldn't catch up, they'll get you with DEI. And that's exactly what happened. So I got my first eviction in 2021. I moved to a largely Mexican populated area called Tolleson in Arizona. They might pronounce it differently. I don't fucking care. It's Tolleson, what the fuck ever. It's a beautiful little town. It really is. But because its population is mostly Hispanic, it became a pit of illegals at all those little fucking weekly places that they have out there, which eventually I moved into one of those. It was a Seagull Suites in Tolleson at one time at 91st Avenue, McDowell. Tiny little fucking storage unit that I was paying $1,300 a month. 240 square foot storage unit for $1,300 a month, but you got your utilities included and you're inside. So I wasn't complaining. I wasn't. But a couple months later, some Mexicans bought up that property, a Mexican property manager. I don't know. Mexicans run the property management companies that bought that place. And you know what? I don't have nothing against Mexicans. I'm part Mexican myself. But these Mexicans were really fucking racist. And I'm going to tell you why. And I think I've said this on social media. But again, we're talking about fascism today. I moved in. These Mexicans bought up the Seagull Suites, turned it into an apartment complex, offered their own internal financing for people who couldn't make their rent payments right away. Because, you know, the people that are living there are like 2 steps away from being homeless. So half of them can't make an entire monthly payment. So they have these financing options. So everybody thinks, oh, yay, you know, Biden's helping us finally. No, Biden's only helping anyone who isn't perceived white. Yeah. So what happened to me is the in-house financing like fucked up my rent schedule. So I had to get off of that and go into an actual payment plan with the complex themselves. In the meantime, they're stealing my food stamps, so I can't afford food, and I'm starving in there. And the Mexicans think this is funny. They're all laughing about it. I'm going out trying to apply for jobs on you know, walking, taking a bus. I don't have a car. You used to not need one here. Walking, taking a bus. And it's literally like every fucking place I go to out there, they see a white person come in and they act like pieces of shit and like it's my fault that I need a fucking job. And you know, the last straw was when I entered into that payment agreement with Residents of Tolleson is what it's called. I go to the place at fucking, I don't even know, I think it was Walmart or something, where you have to pay rent. And they didn't even have it open. Like, I literally had to walk to this Walmart. Anyways, you guys don't even care about the shit that I had to go through, honestly. You don't. But I'm just describing the experiences that I've had with fascism. And that doesn't even begin to. In Arizona, in 2021, there were just under 10,000 homeless people because of this. Where the fuck do those people go? Well, if they're white, they went down to the dump or prison. If they're Mexicans, they get funneled into these little shelters like Residence of Tolleson, and you kick out the white people to bring in the Mexicans. That's what's happening. Don't kid yourself. All of these little weekly motel places in Phoenix, all across Maricopa County, are housing illegal aliens and kicking out tax-paying American citizens so that they can bring their family or make 15 grand a head like Zamorano did in Texas off of these fuckers here. I'm tired of it. I'm tired of my tax dollars going to these fuckers. I had to be homeless for over a year because Biden decided to eliminate the white middle class in Phoenix, Arizona. And my tax dollars are going to support these illegal fucking Mexicans that are bringing cockroaches into my state? I don't think so. I don't think so. I'm going to calm down for a second because this shit is pissing me off. I'm sure you can see why. Before all this, I had a 720 credit score. I had a 5-line business, 2-bedroom, 2-bathroom apartment. I mean, I wasn't like, rich or anything. I was middle class. Alone, single, woman, no children. I am getting my fucking graduate degree, and I'm being treated like I'm peddling pussy in 2025. That is fascism, ladies and gentlemen. When a woman who doesn't have children or a man can't walk outside because she's afraid she's going to get assaulted by a man who thinks she owes him her attention, that is fascism. And that is all over the state. Sorry, trying to calm down here. I'd like to take a minute to actually tell the story of a girl who I talked to, who has a little girl, and told me about an incident when she was homeless, where she was befriended by another homeless man. This man told her that if they could work together, they could start a business, he would employ her, and they could get out of it together. That all he needed was a partner, right? She's thinking, this sounds good. He's being nice to me. I've got a kid. I need to get out of this. Everything sounded good. So she partnered up with him, and they ended up congregating together. They didn't find housing right away, but they congregated together. Well, the business plan this motherfucker had and this is in Phoenix. I'm trying to keep from getting pissed off about this shit. The business plan this motherfucking Phoenician or whatever you want to call this man had for this homeless woman with a little girl was to use her for sympathy so that he could beg. He wanted to lie and say that that was his kid and that she was mentally handicapped. Are you fucking kidding me? Are you fucking kidding me? This is the United States, and you have Phoenicians exploiting women instead of getting jobs. Why is that? Oh, yeah, DEI. When is DEI going to end in the state of Arizona? Because those of us who can work would like to. Get the retards out of the jobs that make this city run well and put capable fucking people in their place. Had it with fascists in Arizona. I have had it with fascists in Phoenix, Maricopa County, all over this county, Mesa, Tempe, Phoenix. You see a single woman, and what do you assume? That is fucking fascism. And it's being perpetuated by the incel movement. You know what the incel movement is, right? It's on my website. It's at autumnleesnews.com. Counter extremism covers the incel movement. You can read about it there. That's exactly what all of this is. So in response to fascism in Arizona and elsewhere in the country, I have started a club called Red Fury. It's an activist club because we're tired of being oppressed. And we're taking action all over the United States. I don't like being stalked. I don't like having to sit in my own home that I fucking pay for with my windows closed and my door barred and barricaded because I'm afraid, because I'm a single woman. And that is literally the only reason that I am afraid, because nobody can leave me alone just because I'm a single fucking woman. Seriously. 10 years ago, I could walk around outside and not be bombarded by fascists. I could. And I looked 10 times better 10 years ago. Fascists in this city, in this county, and in this state. And like I said, Red Fury is open to anyone. I do primarily cater to perceived white women because that's basically the targets of this Holocaust here, at least. Are you white? Are you female? You're definitely open to, come on in and join me. And you don't even have to say anything. It's free. You can just say, hey, yeah, I'm in Red Fury. I'll have some merch here in the future. Are you tired of being oppressed? Well, then you can be a member. I don't give a shit. I don't even have to know who you are. Join up. That's what Red Fury is. It's a response to fascism against white women. You don't have to be a white woman to join, though. Do you support anti-fascism? Do you support women perceived to be white? Does it even matter what color a woman is? She's a fucking woman. Why can't she work, eat, and live a normal life just like you? So if you'd like to join up and you'd like to show Arizona or the world or the country or yourself that you're tired of being oppressed, then visit redfury.club or autumnleesnews.com. And again, I do apologize for bitching for most of this half hour, but when you deal with fucking fascism in the United States of fucking America, you get pissed off. Thanks for listening.